December 7th, 1941. It was the last day of the old world, a day that began with the gentle hum of a naval base at peace, but would end with the roar of a global war. On the battleship USS West Virginia, Doris Miller, an African-American cook, went about his morning duties. His world was one of serving breakfast and collecting laundry, far from the guns and the glory. But at 7:57 a.m., a terrifying siren sliced through the calm morning air, a sound no sailor ever wishes to hear. This wasn't a drill. In that moment, Doris Miller, the humble ship's cook, was about to be thrust into the heart of an apocalypse.
Hello and welcome. If you're new here, welcome to Amazing 5.
He rushed to the deck and stared in disbelief. The sky, once a peaceful Hawaiian blue, was now swarming with hundreds of aircraft bearing the ominous red circle of the rising sun. In an instant, the world erupted into fire and chaos. Japanese bombers screamed overhead, and the naval base was engulfed in a storm of explosions and destruction. But why? Why had Japan dared to strike a nation as powerful as America? To understand this, we must look back. The world was already engulfed in the flames of World War II. Japan, an ally of Germany, was carving out an empire across Asia. Desperate for natural resources to fuel its war machine, it had its eyes on the oil-rich territories of Southeast Asia. But there was a problem. Many of these territories, like the Philippines, were under the protection of the United States. America, though officially neutral, would not stand by and watch. In July 1941, they played their trump card, a crippling oil embargo against Japan. With 80% of its oil supply cut off, Japan was being starved into submission. It was given a choice: abandon its conquests or face economic collapse. Japan chose a third option: war. Their plan was as audacious as it was deadly. They would launch a massive, secret surprise attack to cripple the entire US Pacific Fleet in one swift blow at its home base, Pearl Harbor. For weeks, a giant Japanese fleet, including 6 aircraft carriers and over 400 planes, sailed in complete radio silence across thousands of kilometers of open ocean, a phantom armada moving towards its unsuspecting target. Back on the USS West Virginia, a Japanese torpedo slammed into the ship's hull, the violent explosion throwing Doris Miller to the ground. Around him, there was only fire, twisted metal, and the cries of his wounded comrades. The ship's captain lay gravely injured. With no thought for his own safety, Doris rushed to his captain's side, carrying him and other wounded sailors to a safer part of the ship. But his act of heroism had only just begun. Seeing an unmanned .50 caliber anti-aircraft machine gun, Doris, who had never been trained to fire such a weapon, took control. As enemy planes strafed the deck, this ship's cook stood his ground, firing relentlessly into the sky. He kept firing until his ammunition ran out, single-handedly downing as many as 6 Japanese planes. He was a beacon of defiance in a sea of destruction. The attack lasted for just over an hour, but in that time, the heart of the American fleet was shattered. 20 American vessels were sunk or damaged, 8 battleships were knocked out of action, and over 300 aircraft were destroyed. The sleeping giant had been wounded, but Japan had made a fatal mistake. They hadn't defeated America, they had awakened it. The very next day, the United States declared war, officially entering World War II. The attack on Pearl Harbor had galvanized the nation, turning its industrial might into an unstoppable force of war. For the next 4 years, the two nations were locked in a brutal and bloody conflict across the Pacific. Japan, despite its early victories, was slowly pushed back, but its soldiers refused to surrender. Finally, in August 1945, America decided to use its ultimate weapon. On August 6th, a lone bomber dropped a single atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, another fell on Nagasaki. In 2 blinding flashes of light, the war was brought to a horrific end. Japan surrendered, and World War II was over. The story that began with a cook's quiet morning routine in Hawaii ended with the dawn of the nuclear age, forever changing the world that woke up on that fateful December morning.